what we said in some episodes back, that they are not raising a lot of strong men. Maybe that's also playing a role in the sense that right now I think we have more educated women than men.
Yeah.
And when they come out of school, they are engineers.
Yeah.
They are doing better. They are bringing more money home than men.
Yeah.
But sometimes the men are insecure.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes the women feel like I'm bringing more money, so I can control things. Yeah. How that balance? How's that balance too?
It's not what you bring in. I think it's more that's why we need to go back to the basics and understand it. So if, for example, say you are living with your parents in a home, right? Like you're living here with me, and this is my house, and you live here. You are my nephew. The fact that you start making more money than me does not mean that you're going to take over the master bedroom, right? You still stay in the basement in your corner room that I gave you. Yeah. If you take that analogy, structures and order that God set must still prevail. It's not a matter of how much you bring in. By the same token, so the man is not the head because he brings in more money. So it's God gave you a place. There's an order God set, and that is what it's about. It's not about income. It's very important that we understand that.
I have someone asked a question. So you see, last time where Auntie was saying that she supports your vision. You have the big vision, she supports it. And someone also said that what if the man is not the visionary, but the woman is? How do they balance that?
The man is not the visionary, but the woman. The fact you were brought into this life as a helper, and you can help him shape the vision. But when the vision comes, it is his vision. I don't know if let me try to break that down. Okay. For example, I was a budgeting expert in a previous job, budgeting officer of a department. When I do the budget, my department director is our departmental budget. We go before the county executive to present the budget. I don't go there and present my budget. Even though I am the expert, I put it together and I advise him what to do and he accepts it. When I go to, it's his budget still. You got what I'm saying? And once the county executive approves the budget, we have to go before the county council to go and present it. But when we go there, it's no more my department director's budget, it's the county executive's budget. So my wife, and there are many things I've done where my wife has given me the ideas. But when we decide to do it, she knows it's my vision and she's helping me to accomplish. So it's like as a pastor of a church, everybody says I'm the visionary. You guys brought up the idea of I'm back to you. So all of a sudden, it's become my responsibility, even though it was the idea originated from the young people. So that is how we need to understand it. So you don't get to a point where you bring it back to you and I say, this is how I think we should do it. And we all agree we decided to do it. Don't come back and say, no, Pastor, it's ours. So we don't want you to be part of it anymore. Once you do that, then it's going off track. And I think that's where sometimes some women make a mistake. They are very gifted, they are very talented, but if they see it, that I'm using it to support a vision for the family, and my husband is the one who is leading this vision, it will still work. But once you do it and it works, and then you begin to, try to say it's yours, so then it becomes a problem.
So what if in some cases where even though, like, let's say the woman brings the vision and all of that, and the husband puts him down, don't give her any credit and all of that, how should they also go about it?
It's a very big problem, especially in the African community, because the men sometimes tend to be insecure and it can be a problem. But what I tell women is to be patient, because marriage and the family vision, it's not a short-term, it's a long-term thing. So if a man is being difficult, at some point he's going to realize that he's messing up and he's going to come back to you. And in reality, I've seen it happen where some men don't listen to their wives, but after they've gone round, so they have a problem, they begin to see that, whoa, I'm making a mistake. And when a man begins to listen to you after that, nobody can make him stop listening to you. So in essence, you gain a long-term advantage because you were patient. Right. But when you are impatient, you start fighting him, then you create a situation where he also begins to feel as though you're trying to take over his position. And because of his insecurity, it becomes a more permanent problem. Okay, so be patient with him and give him time.
Okay, that's good to hear. So today, we are going to have a very special discussion on parenting. And I have no other than the expert himself to talk about parenting. And for me, when I'm a father, and before I became a father, my wife and I, we came to see him, and he mentored us on how to be a parent and everything. And we can see that since I became a parent, most of the things that he was saying is happening now. And it's made things it's not easy, because it'll never be easy, but smoother.
Yes.
Yeah, we saw some of these things coming, so we're well equipped to deal with it. So today, wants the whole world to benefit from our discussion on parenthood. So yes, Uncle T, you're going to discuss parenting. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. But before, do you have anything to share in our previous episodes, or anything you want to discuss before? Or?
Well, I think basically most of these things are very, I think they are very simple and straightforward. The main issue is our heart that we go into it with. As we say, social media has influenced a lot of people. And I think because of some of the things we have seen on social media, in soap operas and so on, we tend not to trust, but without trust, there can't be true relationships,
Yeah.
So for us, it starts from trust. You make up your mind that I've decided to be with this person. It doesn't happen for everybody, because for everybody in life, you have struggles at different points. And I think for us, it was just by the grace of God, because when we got married, we started living together in 1982. We lived together for a while. We started to wait until financially we were more stable. And when we got to that point, said, okay, now we think we are ready. Straight away it happened. Yes. And then 2 years later, we decided to try again. And interestingly, we had 2 boys. And she always used to complain that, she wish she had a girl so she can make the girls hair. She's a minority, 2 boys and a husband. So, then I looked at her and I asked her, do you want to try again? She said, of course, you are willing. And I said, you are going to carry it. Your belly is going to come and you are going to carry it. So as for me, I'm ready to deliver. So, the risk is that, how about if I turn out to be a boy? In fact, I think that one, we didn't do the check.
We didn't check that, yeah.
So in the delivery room, that was 4 years after we had our second boy. We went to the delivery room, the doctor took the baby and said, it's a girl.
It's like, oh, wow.
And I said, wow, I'm glad, because if you had been a boy, you would have had to put it back. Yes. And I think it's just by the grace of God. And when we decide, it happens right away. But it doesn't happen for everybody.
Yeah. And the good thing is that the girl is also a photocopy of Auntie.
Yes.
So
well, I still insist that she also has me. Yes.
Okay. So you see, episodes back we discussed marriage, right? And you said that when you want to get married, you don't have to be financially. You have to have something going on, but you don't have to be financially all that to get married. But when it comes to children, do you have to be financially all that to have children, or you have to? What do you have to do financially?
I think you should be ready for children. I say this sometimes when I'm counseling couples on finances, that if it's just the 2 of you, you don't have any food, you can just eat gari and sleep. You can sleep on the floor, but a baby cannot. They have special needs. So I think you need to prepare well. I remember, for example, when it was just Auntie and I, we had an older vehicle. And I think the air conditioner wasn't working. But when she became pregnant, I said, no, we can't have a baby in a hot car. And the baby was supposed to be born in June, which is very hot here. So I went and took a second job, actually, to save up enough money to buy a brand new car. Because I didn't want my baby and my wife to, break down somewhere in that old car. So those are kind of decisions you need to make. Prepare well. Make sure you have somewhere to live. You can't be sleeping in somebody's living room and then have a baby. It's not going to work. So I think the preparation for a baby, you have to financially make sure you are ready to have the baby, because it can be quite expensive.
Yes. So I have a question, right? Some people believe in this, some people don't believe in this, but I want to know your opinion.
Yes.
Is family planning a good thing?
Oh, yes. I have a whole section on that where we do counseling, because God told us to be fruitful and multiply. He didn't tell us how many children to have. But when you come to the New Testament, It says that if you're not able to take care of your family, you are worse than an infidel. So I believe that when it comes to producing children, you must make sure you are ready to take care of them. The financial part to me is even the least part. I think the most important part is the time and the commitment.
Right.
And I'll tell you as someone who has raised 3 children that the money part is important, but the time commitment to raising children, being there for them, is even more demanding than the financial part. So you should be willing to commit to it. So if you can handle only 2, please don't go and have 5. You know, that's why I think family planning is key. We need to plan when to have children, space them enough so we can commit to them. And so I believe in that. And let me probably jump into a topic that I think the men would like to hear. Years ago, I knew some people who were always saying that we should just trust God and go ahead, and some Christians are lazy and they just want to follow their lust. They don't want to have sex without having children. Nowhere in scripture that they say the purpose of sex is to have children. In fact, when you read 1 Corinthians 7, I think verse 2, it says that, verses 1 and 2, it said, but for immorality, let each man have his own wife, and each woman her own husband. Which means the purpose of sex is also to satisfy your needs. So if you're going to say that whenever we have sex, we should have children, it doesn't make sense biblically. You know. So let's separate the 2 issues and plan to have children when we are ready, and also have as many aspects that we can take care of. And not just produce so many that, you know, we just don't have the resources to give them the quality of life that they need as children.
So this is for everyone who's asking me, when is the next child coming?
Yes.
Let me have my piece of mind.
And let me say this. You see, let me say this. Abortion is a sin. It's wrong. But abortion is where the baby has been created. The sperm and the egg have come together to create a child. And then you kill the baby. So that's a different thing. In family planning, you prevent the 2 from coming together. So it's not even forming at all. And there's a scripture too, I think, in Genesis 38, which people use. There was this man, I think he was the son of Judah. He's called Onan. And in those days, the tradition was that when your brother passes away without children, you're supposed to marry his wife or sleep with her to have children for your brother. And so this guy, after his brother passed away, slept with his brother's wife, but he refused to, ejaculate in her. And so God killed him. And what I'm saying is because he tried to do family planning. That wasn't family planning. That was refusing to do the tradition to honor his brother's name. That is why God killed him. That has nothing to do with family planning. Abraham had, to say, sex with Sarah many times before Isaac came. So why didn't God slay him for that? So please, let's be, careful about it. The key scripture is that if you don't take care of your family, you are worse than an infidel. So have as many children as you can take good care of. Commit the financial resources. Commit your time and energy to be there for them. And let me throw this in. I don't believe in the idea that you have children, then you send them to Ghana or the village for your parents to take care of them so that you can work double. Parenting is the parents' responsibility, not the grandparents' responsibility. It's okay to send them to Ghana or Nigeria or Cameroon or wherever to spend summer with your parents just to learn a bit about the culture. Vacation, but don't dump them on your parents. You'll find that your children get to a certain age, they don't even know you. Because the key element of parenting is influencing your children to be better. So if they are not with you and they are in the village and everybody say, abroad children, America, and they are pampering them and spoiling them, they come here and at 6 years old, they still are not potty trained. And it becomes your problem. So I'm sorry. Commit to it. It's the energy and the time.
Well, thank you so much for saying this, because that's a new... Go ahead,
because I was gonna ask a question, and Pastor already answered that question but there's another question, right? And this is, and maybe we don't even have to go there, right? It kind of goes a little bit into politics, right? Where they talk about, a lot of women feel like it's their body they get to make a decision. I mean, we just talked about having babies, right? So you just explained that there's nothing wrong with family planning. What if post sex and there is a child involved, and the couple or maybe the woman or whoever decides to not have the baby, what biblically, what is your, what does the Bible say about that?
Well, as I said, we tried our best to control everything, do family planning so we don't have to, we are not ready. But if my wife had gotten pregnant when we're not expecting children, we'll still have the baby. And I don't think that it will really change anything, except that maybe then the next one may have to go back a little further or something. We'll make some adjustments. Yeah. But I'm not willing to kill, a child that has been formed already just because it's an inconvenience to me. I think we need to be careful. We don't know the child's destiny. You don't know why God made you have a child when you were not ready. So I think that I'll tell people that I'm not endorsing abortion. Family planning is different. Do your best not to. Even, let me say this. If you're a Christian, you are not married, and you go and commit fornication or even adultery with somebody's husband even, and you become pregnant, don't try to cover up one sin with another sin. In the long run, you will regret it. Admit you messed up. Ask God to forgive you. And I told somebody this some time ago, and they were shocked. Somebody who had become pregnant out of wedlock, they came to me. And after I've got on their case about committing fornication and all that kind of stuff, I told them that child is not a mistake. That child is not a problem. You and that man did something wrong. So let's not see the child as something evil, as a mistake or something. We are going to love this child and so on and so forth, because the child had no part in the sin you committed. But I think in the African community, the pregnancy is what we see as the problem, not the act that led to the pregnancy. And as pastors, we need to be very, very careful. And we set all these rules, and so on and so forth, which is punishing the child and not those who committed the act. And sometimes I ask the question, how about those who are doing this in secret and there's no pregnancy? So we make the pregnancy the sin, not the act of fornication. So we have to be careful. And that's sometimes pushes people to commit more abortion because they want to look good in the eyes of the church and in the eyes of pastors. But we are covering a sin with another sin. And I actually spoke to someone who did that. They came to me, they were pregnant, but I told them, I thank you that you did not go behind us to abort this thing. And I said, God is very happy with you that you've been honest and you have come from, you have owned up to it. So I want to encourage the young ladies out there. If you've got pregnant out of wedlock and you feel your life is over, it's not over. The fact that you kept that child says something good about you.
Wow, this is very deep. This is very, very deep. This is the first time I've heard this angle. And it's very deep. And I know everybody who's watching this will also be blessed by what Pastor just said. It's very deep. And what you also said, that children is not about the money, it's about the time. I can witness that, because before I became a father, I was always thinking it's about, you need to be rich or you need to have a certain amount. But I realized that kids are not even that expensive. Yeah. It's actually the time and dedication that you give to them, because they need your time, they need everything from you. So, and that is what some parents feel like, because I have money, I can just pay my way out of everything. Yeah. So it's very good to know this. So I have a follow-up question. Right? Parents and spouses, who comes before each other?
Who comes before each other? But my wife is laughing because she will tell you that. I always tell my children when they were younger that, look, you are here because mom and dad have a good relationship. We are not here because of you. You are here because of us. And I'm not going to allow anybody to overthrow me from here. And I tell them, when I was chasing your mother, Kutubabi, where were you? So, look, and I tell ladies this: you have the baby because of your husband. So don't throw your husband away. And then when you are going to sleep, you keep the baby beside you. The husband's place nobody can take. And I tell people this, they don't believe me. They think I'm pastor, I'm so holy. When we had our first child, it was one of my biggest problems, because if you put the baby in the bed, then I won't sleep there, because that baby has to be in their crib. That place belongs to me, And it seems selfish, but let me tell you why I believe that will come now. What makes children feel very secure is to see that their parents love each other and they are going to be together forever. So when we show the closeness in our relationship, it makes our children feel better and more secure. So when the children don't want you to break up a relationship for them. Yes. So please, ladies, don't go and make your first son your husband. Yes. Your husband was there before that child came. And that place belongs to him. Throw the boy in the cage, in the crib, you know. And I tell parents this sometimes, that make time off to feel connected. You know, the whole process of being pregnant, the birth of the child and all that can strain the relationship a bit, but rebuild it quickly. You know, because in the end, our children are in their 30s now. And I think one thing they appreciate is that we are best for friends. The way we were before they came, we are still the same way. Even though some time ago they thought I was mean because I used to drive them out of our room and tell them that, look, you are not going to take my place, you know. So that's my position on it. I think your relationship between husband and wife should take priority over your child's relationship. God comes first, then your relationship comes next, and you together are going to raise their children. You create a functional environment where it's safe for them to be raised. But if you are fighting because of them, then, you know, so that's my position on it.
As young as my daughter just is one, she's turning 2 this year. Whenever she sees me and my wife, like, together, kissing and stuff, she runs with laughter.
Yes.
And come and put us together. Even when I pick her, she hold my wife's head, she hold my head, and she bring us together. Yes. And she's just a year old. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So she's seen us.
Mine's is opposite. They want me to themselves.
No. But you have to resist it. Let them know that mommy is still your number one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember sometimes, you know, when Ajua was living here, that's our youngest daughter. And maybe I have to go to church early. So I may leave mommy and she will drive to church with mommy. So after church, I will ask her, okay, is mommy going with you or she's going to wait for me? Say, hey, daddy, I don't want trouble. I don't want to take your wife away from you. So I come and say, I took your wife home. So she's going, I will let her ride with me. She has to wait for you. You know, why would she think that way? Because she knows our relationship is very strong.
Wow. This is a very good discussion. We'll probably have a part 2 or something. I have a lot of questions. I want to follow up with this. I know you have 2 boys and a girl. Raising children in America is not an easy thing at all.
Not at all.
Yeah. I know in Ghana, we have this, it takes a village. So you have people, but in America, it's not easy. So how were you and Auntie able to do this?
It took a lot of commitment. I used to explain to them that when I was in Ghana as a kid, when I go and play soccer, I go on my own with my friends. Sometimes standing on the field, and my father will come and belt, come and whip me to go home and pound fufu. In America, I'm trying to explain why Kwabena says it's difficult. In America, when the children are going to play soccer, we, the parents, are the cheerleaders. We have to prepare snacks for the team. We have to drive them to practice. We have to drive them to the game. And sometimes the 2 boys are 2 years apart. This one's age group is playing their game at the field on the other side. Wow. This one's team is playing here. They practice. So every day we are crisscrossing, rushing, crisscrossing. And that's the demand of the whole thing. You remember one time even I went to watch a game and the referee didn't show up. They said I should go and referee the match. So it's kind of interesting. In America, it's very hectic, but it took commitment. I remember when Yao was in kindergarten, his teacher told us that it's difficult, but we can do it. At that time, he was in a Montessori program, and they started school at 3, and they didn't offer them transportation, the school buses. So basically, when we're going to work, we drop him. By 11:30 or so, the school has closed. So we have to pay a taxi driver every day to pick him up and bring him home because grandma was home to take care of him. And we thought it was stressful. We talked to the teacher and said, look, other people are doing it, you can do it. And we were able to do it. Ajua went through it, we were able to do it. So it takes commitment, it takes effort. If you need to make the investment, invest in them. And I tell people that if you invest in your children when they are young, when they are older and they go to college and they are well prepared, most likely they'll get a scholarship. So your commitment becomes less there. But if you refuse to invest in them when they are young, they may not get into good schools, but affect their career long term. So we invested a lot in their childhood stage, you know, and that's what I think paid off.
Wow. No, I have a follow-up question. For me, I know all the children, and I know how they are turned out now, right? I know how confident they are, especially the middle one. Because he's the one I'm very close with. We hang out together and all. But I know the oldest is very confident. The girl is also very confident, right? How were you able to instill confidence in them? Because I know we being here, we being black, we having typical African names and all. It's not easy.
Yeah.
In their schools and everything. So how are we able to build confidence in them when they're young as they are, and now seeing how confident they are and all of that?
I think good parenting first starts with how you view your children. You, the parent, must have a certain view of them. There's a scripture in Psalm 112, verses 1 and 2. It says, "Blessed is a man who fears the Lord." Okay? And it says something like that, who also, you know, who fears the Lord. His children will be blessed and be great in the land. So I believe that when I fear God and I believe in the word of God, my children are going to be blessed and great. So from the beginning, we have that mindset that these children, they are blessed and they are great. Also, if you look at Psalm 127, I think from verse 3 onwards, it talks about the fact that the fruit of the womb or children are a heritage from God. So if God gives me a heritage, that heritage cannot even be average. It has to be above average. So as the children are walking around with their diapers heavy and flies following them, you see greatness in them. And then the same one, Psalm 127, I think verse 4 also talks about that children are like the arrows in the hand of, you know, like arrows in the hand. The thing about an arrow is that, you see, when you take most weapons, you have to be close up to the person to use it. But an arrow is a weapon that you send to a place you can't go. So we had this notion that our children must be greater than us. You get, they must be greater than us. So we prepared them for that. We oriented them for that. If you talk to them, all three of them, they'll tell you right from the beginning, we push them towards great things. When they want to make choices, we try to push them towards the difficult choices. And when they think they can't do it, we tell them they can do it. That is the philosophy we had. For us, it's not about the color of your skin. It's not about your race. It's about what we believe God has destined to be in you. And so this is the arrow issue. This one thing I explain to people. An arrow must be well balanced so it can go far. If you don't prepare an arrow well, when you shoot it, it wobbles and it falls. So we must prepare our children like arrows who are going to go far. Where you can't go, they can go. You know, like Elisha told Elijah, give me a double portion of your spirit. How can I give you twice what I have? So my philosophy is that you can give your child twice what you have because it's in you. But maybe because of generation, when you were born, it didn't come out. And I tell African parents in the diaspora especially, your accent is against you. Maybe, excuse me to say, I hope Trump will listen to me. The way you got your papers, there are a lot of questions. So there are certain jobs you can't do. So it limits you. But your child born here has an American birth certificate. They have an American accent. So why should you maybe work in Walmart or 7-Eleven or somewhere? Why should you let your child finish high school? Then you go and take them to your workplace to go and get a job like you. Come on. Push them to the point where they can work in the White House, be a congressman or so on, because they were born here. So there are certain limitations that we have because of as foreign, but we never let that affect us. So we told them stories of you know, where we came from and our accomplishments. And I remember the first time Kojo went to Ghana and he went to your grandma's shop. He went to find it. I'm told that history, like, there was this whole store belongs to my grandma. And they told him yes. So he said, so I can take anything I want here? He said, yeah, let's ask your grandma. And he was very happy because, you see, his brother said, wow, I come from, my grandmother has owned the whole shop. Whilst here in America, when I go to a certain store, because I'm black, they see me as a shoplifter and they are watching me. So you see how the mind is. You see, and we train them that way. We told them nothing is impossible. We push them to achieve great things. At some point, if you ask Kojo right now, he will tell you at some point, he felt we were putting too much pressure on him, But I told him, you can do it. Yeah. And then things began to change for him. I remember his first job out of high school. He was working at a military base, installing desktops. His mother used to harass him about dressing well, not wearing hoodies and all that. So after a while, I think he yielded. So he came one day, we'll go and buy pants, shirts, and ask his mother how to coordinate them. We taught him. Then one day he came home and said, Daddy, I don't know what is happening at the job. When I go, they send me to go to the office of the generals to install their computers. And when I go there, they talk to me as if I'm their co-equal. And I said, number one, because of the way you dress and you carry yourself, your employers first trust you to go into their office. Yeah. And when they see you there, the way you carry yourself, so it's all about the image and how you carry yourself. And that's what has opened the doors for them. Yes.
Wow. This is, I think, I don't want to say this is my favorite, but this is one of my favorite episodes so far because I'm learning a lot from what we're discussing, especially being a young parent. I'm really learning a lot. So I wanted to go towards their education, right?
Yes.
And all of that. So are all kids supposed to, or are all parents, right, supposed to force their kids to go to college? What if their kids are not meant to be in college? Or let me see, what if their kids they see something else instead of going to college?
Yeah. I used to tell, let me say first of all that if a kid is struggling, don't ever put them down. Let them know that they are still great. That's why you expect greatness from them. Now, with the college and all that, every child is unique. Everybody has their talents and their gifts. And what we need to do is to help the child to develop and build on their talents. For example, I always told them that I don't care what you do, but whatever you do, you must excel in it. If you take our first child, he's technically very competent. In middle school, he went to computer camp. And the instructor told us that the boy is so good, we should push him into computers. So we put everything into it. In 11th grade, which is 1 year before he finished high school, he got his first IT certification. And the day we went to take the exam, oh, no, that's not even it. When he was in high school and he went back to the computer camp, the instructor, the one running the camp made him an instructor. So it was all the kids playing, but it was an instructor that was being paid. So in 11th grade, when I took him to take the exam, the guy set everything up. He did it. He passed. Hey, he passed. I said, how old is the boy? What grade? I said, he's in 11th grade. He said, you're supposed to have high school diploma to take this exam. Well, he's passed. So what can I do? Let's give it to him. So we saw the talent and we pushed him. So do you know, he got his first job. So out of high school, the summer job, when his friends were making those days $7.50, $8 at McDonald's, he got an IT job for about 17 something.
Like over 20 years ago.
Over 20 years. His first pay, he said that this is too much money. Because he knew what his friends used to make. Yeah. But then strategically, we made a decision, which most parents will have a problem, because we found out that before the summer ended, his job people got him security clearance. Then we said, whoa, you got security clearance? Because he was so young, there wasn't a much background check. He started from 17.
Yes.
So it was just 1 year. So boom. So I told him that, look, instead of dropping his security clearance, going to college for 4 years and coming back, because if you don't use it within 2 years, it will expire. And I told him this thing is worth as much as a degree financially. So instead of going to college to stay for 4 years, go to community college at night and keep this job and the security clearance. Oh, come and see fights. I want to go off to college. It's dumb who go to community college. People say I'm dumb. I said, don't worry. By the time your mates will go 4 years and come back, you'll be making twice what they make. But I think the money part made him consider it. Do you know his employee paid his tuition through community college? Even when we bought books, they reimbursed us. So he has never owed a student loan in his life, which gives him an advantage. When he finished community college, what he was making, okay, let me do the figure. It's long ago. It doesn't matter now. He was making about 75,000.
Wow.
I hired somebody with a bachelor's in computer engineering at my office. Okay, fresh out of school, I paid the person 45,000.
Wow.
So
this was over 20 years ago.
Over 20 years ago.
Wow.
Yes. So
that is equivalent to about 150,000.
Yes,
right now. So that's the point I'm trying to make. That you see, sometimes we have this cookie cutter mentality, but every child is unique. Look at their talent and encourage them. Do you know when he finished his degree, immediately he applied to University of Maryland Global Campus? That's what they call it now. That's what this was University College, and they gave him admission. But when he was about to start, his employer would tell him, "Want you to do this certification." And every time he got a certification, he was paid more. So he said, "Oh, I'm going to defer my admission one semester and do this certificate." He'll do it, he'll get it, they'll pay him more. Do you know he never finished his bachelor's, but right now he has an MBA from Harvard.
Wow.
As a corporate executive, he done their corporate track.
Wow.
So it's kind of, we should be very careful as Africans, especially. I think we need to understand the system. His younger brother, he's a reader, academics, everything, he does it well. So he went straight through, got a double major, business and this thing, and he also had a path. So each of them is different.
Yes.
So let's not try to use cookie cutter approach and make everybody, the same.
Yeah.
He is a technically very competent. He understands computer IT, and that's how it goes.
Wow. So, in saying this, we should always know who our kids are,
know them,
and guide them.
Yes.
So whatever strength they have, guide their strength so you can magnify it.
Yes.
And help them exhibit their full potential.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of parents like, okay, this one has done this way, so let's follow the same track.
Yes.
And it's failing a lot of people.
And sometimes too, we try to project our own dreams on them. I wanted to be a doctor, and it didn't happen. So you might be a doctor by force. Especially African parents, But maybe the child is not cut out for it. That's not what they enjoy doing. So what they enjoy doing, encourage them in it, but advise them because they still need your counsel. Like we saw the talent, we gathered him, we invested. I remember those days. After work, we'll pick him up and take him to computer classes for him to get the A+. We'll take him to it was like we had to invest to make it possible. So that's how it works.
Wow.
Can you speak on what you just talked about a little bit more? Because I feel like I talk to a lot of young people, and a lot of young people, they'll be like, hey, I really want to do this, I want to do that, but I'm scared. My parents want me to be a pharmacist or be a, and a lot of them come to me, because, I haven't had a regular job in like almost five years now, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, man, Randy, I love what you do. And I always advise them. I'm like, don't go to college, This, you can always do this. Like if you have the brain to go, college is always, you don't have to use your degree. Like a lot of us went to college and didn't even use whatever the degree we went for. But go to college, but at the same time you can always go to college and just kind of pursue your dreams on the side. And when you're out of school and you have your degree and you want to jump into the entrepreneur, and I always tell people it's always good to jump in early. Don't wait till you have kids, you have a family like me to be an entrepreneur, because it's hard. It's very hard. It's extremely hard. When you do it when you're younger, I try to encourage. What do you think when it comes to kids wanting to maybe follow their skills or what they're passionate about, as opposed to what their parents want them to be?
Yeah, and I think this baby, I need to speak more to the parents and I think the problem is with the parents. We need to talk to our children, know what their strengths and help them with it. I think the conventional thinking that you need to finish high school, go to 4 years of college and all that, it can be dangerous. Let the child know what they want to do. And I'm glad you raised this entrepreneurship issue. Some people think that being an entrepreneur and self-employed is the easy life. No, it's a more difficult life. Things don't work that way. So that's what I'm trying to emphasize, that every child, listen to the child. Instead, I've had cases also, people have come, somebody was in college with one of our children. He changed his major. His parents didn't know. His father didn't know. The father has a dream for him to be, and he came and talked to my father. I said, what is the issue? He said, the thing he wants me to major in, the very fundamental course required to do that, I couldn't even understand it. So how do I do it? And I said, then you can't do it. I said, go ahead and do what you want to do. Go and tell him. What is he going to do after all? What he's telling you to do, he himself has not achieved it.
Yeah.
And if he's a doctor, I want you to be a doctor, it's different. But you aren't a doctor, you want me to be a doctor. And I go in there to the lab. When they cut frogs, I'm fainting. How much more cutting a real human being? So with the parents, we need to get off our high horse, especially African parents. Please, we need to get off it and allow our children to be themselves so they can excel. I'm not saying don't counsel them. I'm not saying don't advise them, but make sure you move them in the direction that they're interested in going. I always say that the same skill it takes to be a good butcher is what it takes to be a good surgeon. With a little more effort, you can be a surgeon instead of a butcher. That's where the advice comes in. Where, for example, I did mathematics and I see children, they are good with figures, and I'll tell them that, look, instead of maybe going to study electrical engineering, why don't you go into IT? Or analytics, or maybe study AI, because that is where the trend is. So it's the same skill set, but instead of doing traditional, what people do, go and do something else. I remember years ago, I met a guy who had a first degree in biochemistry, and I advised him to go and do pharmacy. And he said he wanted to be called doctor. So they were doing PharmD. So he went and did his PhD in biochemistry. Then he had to go back and do the PharmD to become a pharmacist. And he always said, I should have listened to you. I wasted time, So those are the kind of things we can counsel our children to do. But don't try to force your children to be what they are not. That I think is dangerous and will mess up a lot of their dreams and their future because we're making them do something they are not comfortable with. Yeah. And this college issue too, let me explain to you. When you go to get a degree, basically you are buying something. It's an investment into your career. So if two people come out of high school, one decides to spend 2 years in a community college, which is way cheaper than going on to a 4-year private college out of state. And both of you, so the first one who did the community college 2 years, goes to do 2 more years to get his degree. You go off for 4 years in a private school somewhere. You come out of school. This guy, because he went to community college and then did 4 years in maybe a state college, is owing 30,000. You who went out of state, in the 4 years, you own 80,000 or maybe 60,000. And then you go get a job. You are being paid the same. The one who went to community college has an advantage over you because he has less student loans. Yeah. So some of these things is numbers. Yeah. Look at it and make your right decision, So that's...
So what advice would you give to parents? Sometimes some parents, they do everything right by raising their children. But when their children grow, they go follow peer pressure. They end up doing things that are not pleasant.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to these parents?
The first thing is to never give up on your children. The scripture, I think Proverbs 22 verse 6 says that train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Look at what it says well. When they are young, as a child, train them. When they are old, they will not depart from it. Hold God to that. Keep praying for the child. Never stop praying for the child. All you need to change things is for them to realize that what their peers are leading them will not help them, and they will stop. As children mature, they can change. Yeah. So you don't give up on them. Yeah. I think it becomes a problem when the parent decide that I'm done with the child and they shut the door. Yeah. It makes it very difficult for them to come back. But love them, let them know you care about them, let them know you are still interested in their welfare. So when they get to the point where those friends disappoint them, they will always come back to you. So don't give up hope. Every journey has its bumps. So the first time your children disobey you and do something wrong, don't think that it's over. Yeah. It's not over. It's a long-term battle. It's a lifelong battle. You have to still keep praying for them. You still have to keep loving them. You still have to let them know that your doors are always open. They can always come back to you. And please, African parents, don't ever curse your children. Because you curse your children, you are cursing your grandchildren. Yeah. So that whole, I'm going to disinherit you and I'm going to pronounce some curses on you, please. Let's stop that.
Yeah. And sometimes I think we live in a very, very, I don't know if it's sensitive world, the right word to use, or we say woke. They say woke world or woke mentality, right? In the sense that maybe you raise your child to be a boy, or the child was born a boy, and later they make a decision that they want to change their for whatever, you want to change their sex and be a girl. And you don't like the idea. But because you are not supporting them, they make it seem like you are not supportive. How would you be able to, sometimes when it's happened, how would you be able to love your child the same way, or like still be there for your child and all of that? Because it's happening right now. A lot of parents are dealing with it, and they don't know how to maneuver or go about things.
Very sensitive subject.
It's a very sensitive and difficult subject. Unfortunately, I believe that it's a calculated effort to kind of turn our children around. That is why we need to start praying for them early. There's a document which I think some of you may be privy to. If you go online, I think they are trying to sanitize it, so we're trying to take it off. Is the Gay Manifesto or something. And they say clearly that they're going to come after our children. It states there very clearly. I read through it and I was shocked, some of the things they say. So this is a deliberate ploy to go after the children in the school system and so on. In America here, even if your child goes to school and they have a headache, they have to give them Tylenol. They will not give it to them unless you sign a consent form. But they are saying that there are rules that if your child says they want to change their sex, even an 8-year-old child, they don't have to inform you, the parents. Does it make sense?
No.
You know, so it's a realistic issue that we have to deal with. We need to pray more for our children. We need to educate them, let them know that these threats are out there, so that if they go out there and then they are being exposed to these things, they can share with us so we can catch them early. I think if we have an open communication with them and they see these strange things, or they go to school and these things are being pushed on them, then they will share it with us. But if we put on the air that they can't come to us to talk about things, then it becomes difficult for them to let us know, you know. So it's a difficult thing, but we need to be alert to it. We need to pray for them more. We need to have open discussion with them about these things and let them know the issues that are entailed here, so that we can proactively work on it. Yes.
Okay. I have another question. So, as a parent, is it okay for your children to see your weakness?
Why not? You're a human being. Every human being has weaknesses or a blind side. And I think sometimes we try so hard to cover up the fact that we have weaknesses. But personally, I don't see why. You don't want your children to think that you are some kind of a god. Let them know you are human. You know, you have a weakness, you have a weakness. I never heard it from you guys that I like chocolate, and I can't say no to it. You know, for me, I think it's a syndrome, especially of African parents, to where we try to create the impression that we are more than, we are super, you know. Bill Cosby told a joke about how the parents say, when I'm going to school, I used to walk up a hill both ways. So they walk uphill to school, they walk up to hill back home. How is that possible? Just for it to seem we are superhuman. And I think sometimes when we create that impression, it makes our children feel as if though they can never satisfy us. Because we think we are so human. It's human, everything is perfect. We are so perfect, and everything should be perfect with them. When I went to school, I got all A's, you know. So then when they get a B, then it's a crisis. What is that? I mean, everybody has a subject. I couldn't deal with chemistry, you know, and I would tell anybody, I'm not afraid to let people know. I remember one time there was a young lady I was teaching in youth class, and she went to college, and she was doing nursing. And I think some course was really beating her. And the day I called her, she had failed a course that she had struggled with. And I called her and she was crying. So why are you crying? She said, Uncle, I failed this course and I've studied so hard. And I said, so you are crying? You think that your life is over? He said, I don't know what to do. And you realize when I was in school, I failed a class. I said, you? And I told her, you know, and that really encouraged her. She went back, she aced the class, and she was able to graduate, and now she's a nurse. Wow. So we shouldn't be afraid to show our vulnerable side, that we have weaknesses too as human beings. So our children can be human.
Yeah. So African parents especially, if you're watching this, if you offend your child, just say sorry to them.
If you do something wrong, please. You see, the best way to teach your children to say sorry is to say sorry to them when you do something wrong. And if you don't know something, please be clear. Say, I don't know. I'm going to find out. Don't act like you know everything.
I think it's this ego when it comes to African parents. It's okay to tell your child that you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I apologize. And my kids are 3 and 5. I mean, 3 and 4 and 6 now. But I apologize to them.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, I tell them, hey, I'm wrong. And sometimes we're so worried about being a role model. I feel like the whole role model thing, be a real model.
Be a real model.
It's okay.
I like that.
You know what I mean? We want to be a role model. We let our kids feel like, there's no blemish on our. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Everything was perfect with us. No, it wasn't.
It wasn't with us. We have our issues. I failed a class before, so who cares?
Every African parent's had over 80.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. I was an African parent that had a B.
No.
Everybody was an A student.
No. And then they see through it, And that doesn't help with trust.
Yeah.
And the kids see through it.
Yeah.
And people forget. Like, even us growing up, if we're going to be honest, like, our parents might tell us something, but we see something different.
Yeah.
Because kids are they observe. Very close.
Yeah.
And they know everything. They might act stupid, but they know it.
They know. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I remember when I was there, I don't mean to put my mom out there, but I knew that my grandfather was a policeman, right?
Yes.
So I was something like, Mom, do you know during Nkrumah's time was grandfather a police? I was like, yeah. He was even the one who arrested Kwame Nkrumah. So
no way.
I know she was just joking. So later on, I was just joking. This is one of my favorite episodes because I'm interviewing people that have seen them raise their children, and their oldest is a business owner of a very, very big IT company. The middle is he's a higher up in Booz Allen, and if you know Booz Allen, it's a very, very big company. And the last one, who's a lady, is a senior level person in Google, and she's a young Black lady, and has achieved this. And these are African immigrants who came here and achieved this. So I just want people to know that you guys have done an amazing job raising your children. I know it's not easy coming here, raising 3 children, and with the pressure, society pressure and all of that, different culture too as well.
Yeah.
And still raising them for them to accept their culture and excelling. Because when I moved here, I used to sometimes I'll go to my cousin's place, and they always inspire me to do certain things. So I just wanted to appreciate you and give you people your flowers for raising these young kids to do amazing stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And looking back, are you guys happy with the decisions you made?
Oh, yeah, definitely. As human beings, we always there are things you think you can do better, but one of my professors in business school used to tell me, if you have information and use the information and you come to the right conclusion, you should always feel like you made the right decision. Later on, you might find more information which will tell you that what you did was wrong, but you didn't have it when you made the decision. So based on what we know or what we knew at the time we made the decisions, to me, we feel it was the best decisions we took on some of the things. There are certain things, what I know now, maybe I have done differently, but that is water under the bridge. I'm not going to waste time beating up myself on that. That's my philosophy in life. Yes.
And Auntie, do you have anything to share too?
I just want to encourage.
It's already on. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to encourage parents that it's possible. The challenges are there, yes. But if you are focused and you know what you want them to become, it is possible that they will achieve their dreams. Opportunities they have now, we didn't have them. So we know the sky is their limit. So like Pastor has said, we should just watch them, be very, very observant, and to guide them in the path where their passion is. Not just because they are children, they need guidance. They might come up with things that will not benefit them. That is where your input and your guidance is key to help them to excel in wherever track
Yes.
they decide to follow. They have to follow. So, and with God on your side, definitely. Yeah, last year I remember when I had the opportunity to preach, my topic was raising champions for God. And I said, as far as I'm concerned, any child that comes to this world is built to excel.
Yes.
Yeah.
God doesn't make defective children.
Yes.
Every child is super.
Yeah.
You know, they might have some deficiencies here and there, but believe me, if you believe what God has said and you're praying for them and you're guiding them, they will excel.
Yeah.
And something I observe about, and I always say about children who are born premature, they have some unique talent.
Yeah.
They are always unique, very, very smart.
Yeah.
You know, so every child is great.
Yeah.
They are born to be great. They are born to excel.
Yeah.
So it behoves on you to identify and to know that every child that God gives you is special.
Yeah.
And to help them to achieve and not to make them a failure. Yeah. A lot of children who unfortunately don't excel is because they don't have the good real models.
Yeah.
You said not role models, but they don't have the good real models to help them. Yeah. But even whatever stage you are, you can still pick up the pieces and do something out of it. So that's what I want to say.
So thank you so much.
Yeah. So talking about teaching influential people, I just talk about a very funny example. I think when I went to first year of college, he took psychology 1, and I think he really enjoyed psychology. But he's a people person.
Yeah.
And so he told me he wants to pursue psychology and be a psychologist. But I don't think he had it, because to really be a psychologist, you know, when it comes to mental disease, it takes a lot of patience. I don't think he had a level of patience. So, but for him, he understands money. That's one thing. So I actually went to talk to the head of, I used to work in a healthcare company. So I went to the mental health office and I spoke to the head there, and I had a discussion with him, and he gave me a lot of information. But he gave me data on what they earn. So I went in and I put some more data online. I sent it to him that this is what they earn. As soon as he read the numbers, he told me, nah. So he's my son. I know him very well. I always joke that both his grandmothers were at Makola women. So he understands, you know, financial issues. So straight away he told me, Daddy, nah. Well, what he told me was that if you're not somebody who likes to sacrifice for people, it's very hard to be in that field, because it's something you do from the heart because you care about people. But I don't think that boy is not that kind of, so that's, you know, I just wanted to share that also.
But in wrapping up, do you have anything to add and say?
Yeah, one thing I want to add, which to me is very important when it comes to parenting, is that children will listen to what you tell them, but they will do what they see you do. You know, the scripture tells us, Deuteronomy said, teach them this law, teach your children, and so on. But when you go to Proverbs 22, which I referred to earlier, it says train, and train is really practical. So one of the problems which frustrates many parents is that we tell our children to do one thing and we do the opposite. And when it does that, no child, they always follow what you do. So, and when I look at parenting, I see it in leadership. And John Maxwell had a very interesting statement. He says, you don't produce who you want, you produce who you are. In Chi, we say, you can't expect to be a drunkard and expect your children not to like to drink. You know, you can't always be insulting your wife and beating them and talking down to them. Or if you're a woman, disrespecting your husband in front of your children and expect them to respect their husbands. What they see you do is what they see they will do. So as parents, it's a big responsibility on us for us to make sure we are aware that our children are watching us and they'll follow in our footsteps. So we take certain things for granted. I'm an adult, so I can do this, I can do that. You are a child, you can't do it. To me, the worst thing to say to a child. I, for example, tell people that I don't know how it feels like to be drunk. Not because I'm a pastor, but all through my life, even before I became a Christian, alcohol is something I didn't like, because I never saw my father doing it. Even though he wasn't a Christian, he wasn't strict, he didn't give us any rules, but he never did it. So I grew up just thinking that this thing is not cool. You know, so we have a lot of influence on our children. So let's please try to live a life that will influence them and not send them mixed messages where we are telling them they can't do something and yes, we are doing it. Yes.
Thank you so much. Randy, do you have any questions to ask for that?
No, not really. I think one thing that I would also say is, I know we talked about like kids following their passion. I think it's a good thing for kids to follow their passion, but at the same time too, young people also got to realize that, just like Pastor said, you have to do your research, right?
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, you have to live.
Yeah.
And especially if you're a man, you're gonna have to take care of a family.
Yeah.
You're gonna have kids. So if and a lot of people go to college and they take courses that don't make any sense, right? They'll take German history or something stupid like that, right? If that is your passion, just figure out a way to make
excel in it.
a good living off
To
of German
monetize
history,
it.
right?
Yeah.
If you can,
Other than that, don't do it. Why would you go in debt to and 4 years of your life to come out and make, I don't know, $40,000 or whatever that is. So I feel like, so sometimes that's why a lot of our parents, because they want, at the end of the day, they want the best
for us.
the best for us, right?
Yeah.
So the young people, and I have a 17-year-old, right? Well, I tell everybody he's my son. He's really my younger brother. He's lived with me since he was 6.
Yeah.
But he's 17. He's about to be a senior in
High school.
Yeah. And I always tell him. I mean, he wanted to do certain things, and I'm like, hey, we had a conversation, and I'm like, maybe it's best, because he's also good in computers. I'm like, it's best you go into IT because you already love it.
Yeah.
But at least you are guaranteed to make good money in the future to be able to take care of your family when you have one. So young kids, I know you want to be a photographer or a videographer or marketing this or that.
NFL,
it's not easy.
NBA.
If you're gonna do that, cool. Do it when you're young, so you can actually get a mentor, so you can. A mentor can save you 5 years of just try and error. So you can really get to where you can actually take care of a family. So I'm just, it's just very important. We need to really, young people, think about the money, because everything costs money these days, So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah.
That's true.
I forgot one question, but I want to ask before we are we supposed to take care of our parents when we grow and all of that financially?
Look, this is my position on this. It is something I've thought through. I think most of us whose parents live in Africa, they didn't have the opportunity that we have here in the US. So if we have had opportunities here, we should help them. Okay? But we should never plan our lives in such a way that we say our children are going to take care of us. Don't make your children your pension plan. I think Paul says in somewhere in 2 Corinthians that it is for the parents to lay out for the children, not the children for the parents. So for me, my thinking, my philosophy is that it's okay. If my parents have needs, I'll help them. But I want to prepare in such a way that I don't have to depend on my children. Because they shouldn't be my pension plan. They shouldn't lay out for me. Because I'm in a system here where I can choose to invest. The stock market is well regulated, and I should be able to do well for myself instead of waiting for if my children decide to give me something, it's gravy. Extra, not waiting every day for them to. But at the same time, I'm not trying to say it means we shouldn't help our children. Because our children, we shouldn't help our parents, because the culture they grew up in, investments are very difficult to do. A lot of them sacrifice a lot for us. In America here, a lot of the parents here, our children, they are taking loans to go to school and they'll pay for it themselves. But so I'm not going to say we shouldn't take off our parents. But I'm saying that we should make it a point that we will transition at this point. So we won't depend on our children anymore, so they can invest more in their children and change the future for us.
For young people, don't be spending $1,500 on your girlfriend's Louis Vuitton purse, and when your mother in Africa asks you for $50, you act like it's the end of the world. I'm just saying. We're gonna close on that.
This is the Life and Path podcast. Watch, subscribe, and comment. Have a good day.